already asked Australia yesterday, and I don't think anyone came. There you go, Australia, hooray! We'll have a barbecue, you know that, right?
Your barbecues are better.
and I don't think we have anyone from Antarctica, and we don't yet have anyone from outer space. I am guaranteeing you one of them, Mihaela claims outer space as her territory.
South America.
Yes, obviously South America. Who is here flying in from South America, even if they are not beautiful? Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for highlighting my neglecting piece of the continent. Now, the reason I'm doing this little exercise is because our next panel is about global cooperation and global collaboration. And I welcome on stage the moderator of the panel, who will then have the opportunity to take it away and introduce the participants as she sees fit. Thank you very much, Esther. Please, the stage is yours.
Hi everyone, it's my absolute pleasure to host this panel on global collaboration. I would like to invite my panelists to join on stage. Park and rooting, yeah. Thank you very much. I'm so glad to have this opportunity to work with us today. I have so many questions about global collaboration, and it's my absolute pleasure to have you. Would you like to start by introducing yourselves one by one? Because I'm sure that you would do a much better job than I could, please. Bethany, would you like to begin?
Thank you so much, everyone, for having me. My name is Bethany. I come from Ethiopia. I am from a company, actually, that Benko founded maybe now 11 years ago in Ethiopia that does AI research and development. I run the training and also research and development components.
Hello everyone, my name is Yi. I'm the CEO and founder of JEDI. At JEDI, we have the vision to make peace more profitable than war. And what we're doing here with the SNet community and the sponsors community is to build the conference brain. So we're taking the wisdom shared at this conference and making it available to you via chatbot. I have a background in business. I have solved a lot of inequity problems and closing the inequity problem between genders in blockchain space, built a lot of communities there. And today I'm very happy to share and discuss with our co-panelists about collaboration. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Young-Soo Park. I'm from South Korea, and I worked for the British government for 20 years and the Australian government 10 years. I'm global already, and I'm part of Millennium Project. There's a Jose there, everybody, for the last 20 years, Korea chair for the Millennium Project. I'm author of the Futures Report for the last 20 years, and also I wrote a book with Ben in 2015, I think. It's about AI Revolution 2030. Didn't sell any. Koreans didn't know anything about AI. Now they do. Now with the Isedol playing Go, with the AlphaGo, people are really aware. They are trying to invest in this area, so I'm very proud.
My name is Tina. I got my PhD from University in mainland China, but I have lived in Seattle area for 4 years and 9 years before in Hong Kong. So I feel I'm not in the right position to represent China, but Ben has invited a bunch of Chinese and no one can make it. So I was added at the last minute. I feel like now the world is dominated by the Western culture, including the technology. Like the majority of Chinese tech companies are just copying the steps that the Western AI area mentioned. Yeah, they're just copying the steps that the Western companies are doing. So, but I think just like the I Ching says, yin yang is achieving the Tao. I feel like there should be some element from from Oriental as well. So I gear up to join the conversation here. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your introductions. If it's okay with you, I would like to run this in a more discursive format so that we can just chat about the issues around global collaboration. Is that okay with you? Great, so if you have an answer to the question, you don't have to do it in order, you can just speak as you are moved to speak. Now, one of my first questions is about how do we foster global collaboration in a complex world stage and in a place where AI is dominated both by, as David said in the previous talk, a few companies, but also there's a kind of scattered situation going on with AI development in a decentralized way. So how do we include more people across the world in AI development?
Okay, I was sort of living with a Grace robot for the last 2 years. So in Korea, they've made some sort of documentaries on me for one hour, and the other one was 30 minutes. So it is quite well known that I lived with a robot, and they call me a robot lady, something like that. And it's quite an experience. And because of those people who are very afraid of living with a robot, in the beginning I was also very shocked. I came out of my room and there a robot standing, and I thought I was a robber or somebody standing and looking at me, so that I covered with a curtain not to see the lady Grace for 1 week. But after that, I got really used to it. I got dependent on it. I was asking all the questions to her instead of looking up, instead of asking Google. So what I say is that living with the robots or living with the global sort of communities, it is a very good idea to have AI or AGI or BGI with us.
So are you saying that we need to demystify and take away the fear of technology?
That's right. Yeah, fear took me about a week, that's all.
Thank you for that insight.
I think when it comes, is that my okay. So I think when it comes,
hello? Okay. I think when it comes down to making a more inclusive and representative AI, AGI, or BGI, I think one thing that we need to look into is the people who are developing it, right? So I think in terms of the human resource and the workforce that is working in AI, I think the representation is much needed, and especially from Africa. So I think for the past few years, what we've been trying to do at ICOG is trying to introduce, AI and robotics at a very early stage, but also in terms of universities. For example, one of the most fun projects that we did is soccer is the most loved game in Ethiopia. So we collaborated with universities to do a robo-soccer competition where they get to learn about robotics, AI, but also at the same time have a fun component included into it. So through that, it's inspiring, a generation of people to get into AI development and contribute to that. And I believe in order to foster that collaboration, but also kind of move away from just being consumers into what has been developed, which the continent has been, I think it's time for us to kind of create and innovate and kind of for us dreaming about, beneficial AGI. I think it's important to have people that are also working on that understand the context, the culture, but also the nuances of living in a country. So yeah, that's what we've been doing in terms of fostering collaboration.
That's beautiful. How young are the children that you work with?
We start with as young as age 8, but we want to go even younger. But as people with kids would know, it could be a bit difficult. But we start at age 8.
And how do you reach that age group?
So we have a lot of different projects that we do, but one of the most exciting ones is called the DigiTruck, which is a moving training center that goes around Ethiopia teaching people how to code. And with low literacy levels and low penetration of internet access, it is important to get this information across to people. So this DigiTruck is completely off the grid, it's solar powered, and then it's on a 40-feet container that's on a truck, and it goes around the country. Kids go in, they interact with the robots, they write their first line of code, but they're also inspired of, there's a thing called AI, not a thing, but there's this concept called AI, and this is what it can do, and this is its potential. So kind of fostering that curiosity has really helped in terms of, people thinking about AI, governments thinking about AI. So we try to find innovative ways to reach more marginalized groups, but also people that don't necessarily have access.
That's amazing. You have a wandering AI teaching truck.
Yes, exactly.
So cool. Yip, would you like to tell us what do you think are the key features of increasing global collaboration?
Yeah, I think it starts with inclusivity, or I would even say zero exclusion, to be more integrative. And zero exclusion is a commitment that requires investment, capital investment. So when you think about inclusivity, what are the requirements? You need to have the right people at the table. The right people, if you want to create a representative world, means people who by themselves maybe would not sit there because they have not understood the significance of this development or this revolution to their daily lives. So that means you have to go the extra mile and curate these representatives and get their ideas and voices represented. If you think about it, they're not here, then their voices cannot be integrated into the developments. It's quite difficult for them also to catch up. For those who are not here, it's very difficult to catch up on the latest developments because they did not contribute, their voice is not there, and also they are not building the right networks to grow as fast as the industry grows. So that leads back to, for example, this conference. It's already amazing that this conference is free to attend. Thank you to the sponsors, because that already is one step to inclusivity. The next step would be to give travel bursaries to those who would be loving to join but can't make it. But we have made it online, so there's a free live stream. However, free live stream participation is not contribution. So I think that might be a key lever. And then the third thing is to create conversations in a way that fits the preferences of those who are not yet included, or including their preferences. What I noticed closing the gender equity gap in Web3 is, for example, women often don't like the typical hackathon setups that were like best practice. So what we did was creating women hacker houses, and they follow a different flow. We had well-being sessions, coachings, different needs, because a new community that is not onboarded needs a different way of onboarding. And when you can catalyze this onboarding, then you can close the gap between those who are already involved and those who are not involved yet in a much faster way. So long story short, I think we do need to invest efforts, like mental efforts, but also capital efforts, into closing the gap so that we can create this zero exclusive community. And then the final thing I wanted to say is true collaboration is when inspiration ideas are integrated. This is why I love this conference design so much, because the first 2 days we get inspired with all these keynotes and we learn. And then we have these work groups, and tomorrow we even have the conference, because we integrate all the wisdom and then co-create activities and projects for the future. And I think this is where true collaboration starts.
Thank you.
Okay, so for collaboration, as I mentioned, like the I Ching said, I like took this quote because 一阴一阳谓之道 means like if you want to achieve the Dao, like the whatever you call the Dao, the automate the wisdom or whatever. And so you do need some like kind of powerful yang side as well as some like a softer aspect. So to my view, it's not super accurate, I know, but to my view, the Western like research, scientific research methodology is kind of yang-oriented. Then there's some like Asian Chinese philosophy or wisdom from as well as from Buddhism and from India a long time ago. So those are kind of like lots like to say the like a water, yeah, like the automated kindness is like a water. So I think it is probably worth trying to add a bit of this kind of Asian philosophy, like from thousands of years ago. And so as I have involved with a group called the Dodo Modern Philosophy Group in China for 3.5 years. So their mission is trying to like similar uplifting the mother's mindset, and as well, then they think that can lead to better child education and as well as the whole nicer society. So they have been using the AI very creatively lately, just last year since the ChatGPT was getting super hype. So I haven't been to that camp, but I have heard the story, so I've just mentioned from the third aspect. Yeah, Ben invited that teacher to come here, but she couldn't make it, so I just mentioned it. And so the basic idea is like they created some kind of a story. The philosophy group, they created some kind of story. Then, for example, they assume like there's something called a cosmic intelligence in CI and trying to control the Earth with all kinds of like the dinosaur extinction. They all control the Earth by step. Then they want the young children, with the AI's help, to kind of conquer the different tasks, like to conquer the disaster from nature, the disaster from human man-made, like wars, and like the Russian war. Then it's from and with the help from like successful or whatever the previous our ancestors left, like some wisdom and powerful, yeah. Then so they all use the AI tools to access all those knowledges and then try to conquer different tasks and then make the children come up some idea, like the collaboration of the whole society. So it's a very creative way of using AI. So that like a phenomenon is like they in that camp, all the children are like electronic free, like they can use whenever they want, even in the camp, like they're watching. But so after 7 days, the parents were very suspicious. But after like 5 days, then they all use the electronics very creatively, and they are like self-regulated this kind of behavior, which was kind of very, very surprise for everyone. Yeah. So anyway, I think that's just a example, a piece of example that they trying to like use the AI in a way more embracing like the Eastern Western philosophy, and as well as using the current technology. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. I was reflecting on your words as you were speaking, that Young-suk mentioned fear as something to be overcome in embracing AI technologies and being able to proliferate and include. And I just wondered whether you see a barrier with parents' fear over exposing their children to too many devices.
The fear, the barrier of the fear. Sorry, is that right?
So a lot of parents are afraid.
Yes.
They think, oh, my child is spending far too much time in front of a screen.
Mm-hmm.
So is that something to be overcome?
No, I think I think the idea is not to like limitate all this. Like it's not to ask you to get away from AI because AI is dangerous, but instead they try to create a better AI or embrace the AI to expand our human creativity. That's the idea. I don't think they were trying to get the parents more afraid of the screen time or so forth. Yeah.
Yes. So did the parents respond to that? Did they find that they were?
The parents were very happy after the camp. Like the teacher I mentioned, she got a lot of media report about that, and I gave a lot of talks on those things. Yeah, it's very surprising and very astonishing news in China. Yeah, in Chinese media. Yeah.
Fear just goes away within a week. So we have to sort of endure a week, that is all. And I think global collaboration is coming from the education that you're doing. Before I come to this event, I was talking to the Korean government officials and some big company people about this funding. Funding is very important, and I know that you have a deep funding here in SingularityNet. So that what I think is that we could create, there are a lot of funds in Korea available for these job creation schemes, so that if you have a matching fund with defunding Korea, SNET, defunding Korea, defunding Vietnam, defunding Ethiopia, defunding China, it'll be all global, so that with that we can have an education program. We in Korea are trying to teach AGI, how to teach. If you come to Korea, please let me know. We're going to have all these programs shot in education form to deal with teaching or letting people know what we are doing, what the AGI is, what the beneficial AGI is, and so on and so forth. So I think I have 2 leads in the this defunding Korea sort of thing. Thank you.
Thank you. So you're talking about the power of investing and making partnerships across different countries.
Yes.
And also you're mentioning a recurrent thing, which is education, which is helping people to understand AI and be able to participate. That's very interesting. And I just wondered, I was wondering about your initiative with JEDI and how that ties into education schemes. Do you see that as being a synergy with your work?
Yeah, so it's like being, I came from a family of both refugees that left Vietnam after the war, and we ended up in Germany. I was born there. What is really amazing about Germany is how you can access the education systems for free, and how there were, at that time when I grew up, a lot of support systems for children like me who went to kindergarten and did speak 0 words of German, and how they helped and coached me through the process in a way that I could do A-levels, then I went to a very good university, and now I'm sitting here. So it's just, I think education is key, and education can solve many different problems. And the biggest key to education, I think, is literacy. So if you can master access, or mastering a level of fluency with your relationship with any tech, then you solve really critical problems. And what we do with JEDI, the vision of the global brain, or the decentralized global brain at some point in time, is to democratize access and to make it very intuitive for you to learn and to gain the wisdom out of any vertical of your choice. You would want to see what are the latest discussions about longevity? How can I become a more healthy person? How can I improve my well-being? And you would draw the transcripts from a random library of the internet, but from curated conferences where you have speakers that have been curated by the conference organizers. So I do think when we can offer a way for humans to interact with knowledge and accelerate the knowledge acquisition process, then we have a good tool to close the equity gap between those who can and those who can't. And I think in particular now that most of the LLMs can do tasks in all different languages, this is quite cool, because I can ask, even now the conference brain, it's just a proof of concept. I can ask, I guess, in any different language, what was discussed about decentralization, what was discussed about regulation, and it would probably output, I haven't tested, but it would probably output in a language of your choice, which is quite cool because it reduces the barriers to true connection, and then it catalyzes collaboration.
Thank you. Thank you. I was thinking as you were speaking about the persistent barriers, and that access to knowledge is certainly a big part of some exclusion. I was wondering what you all thought about digital access, because in places like the United Kingdom, most of the population has access to a computer or a smartphone, but there are still places in the world where digital penetration is very low. So how do we tackle problems like that, and what effect does it have on participation, and what could we change?
Okay, perfect. I think I also wanted to touch a bit upon that aspect of fear, because what we know about AI is from the movies that we've seen, right? From what we're exposed to. So people are afraid of change. People are afraid of things that they don't know, especially when it comes from somewhere that's far away and that's unfamiliar. It always feels like there's a plot around it, right? So I think it's important making these tools accessible and familiar. Even though will be a penetration of better access to internet or digital tools, it's still very important to localize and contextualize these resources. And I think what has been said about language is a very, very important component of that. Language represents, communities, their way of life, and being able to capture that in a community and showcasing what can be done could be a really good step. But in terms of, the penetration of connectivity or access to digital devices, that's something that needs a lot of research and investment on. Of course, through time, things are getting cheaper, they're getting more accessible, but still, majority of people on the continent, specifically in Africa, are still not connected to the internet. But we can see examples like India, where there's a 98% of phone penetration, where they're currently, doing jobs of like creating data sets to support LLMs. So I think those are some of the learnings we can also take, but also, equip people in those regions, in those countries, with the skill sets that they need to develop solutions that are similar or maybe unique to that area.
Thank you. I will return to the point about language soon because I think that's a fascinating and broad topic. But I would like to invite the other panelists to contribute if they would like to contribute anything about digital penetration and how far it's possible to participate if there is not enough digital technology in the world, in the country.
Yeah, so I want to quote another quote from Asian literature. So the great learning, it's called great learning from probably 100 BC, something like that. In Chinese, they have 4 different kinds of let me think how to translate. Right, I just use the word right. Non-right feelings. The first one was just panic, like a fear. Yeah. So I think that the group I just mentioned, they're trying to conquer that kind of fear by just the younger generation, especially because they will be the one that will face all these situations and uncertainties. They want them to embrace and learn how to use it in a very early stage, and to creative with it. So instead of just writing how difficult it is, but why not just let them jump in and try. I think that is how our human, personal, as me, I'm afraid of talking in public. I just conquered it. So it is, just jump in and try it. I think one of the reasons I'm here, I'm trying to set an example for my kids. My young kids are also here in the audience. So I think that's the same thing as AI, as the fear of AI. So I stand for the children to try. Yeah. I'm also kind of encouraging my son to draw pictures, and then I will try to use Midjourney or something to make a better picture from his scratch. Yeah. So I think that is one approach of conquer the AI field.
Thank you. And living with a Grace robot for 2 years, I'm fond of robots, and I cannot live without robots now. So I'm addicted to robots. We are producing, and Korea will be a mass production sort of area or country to produce my children, Ben's robots, smaller robots, not the Grace or Sophia level. 1,000 copies will be manufactured within this year or maybe early next year. 1,000 copies. 2 banks are interested in buying all 1,000 copies, and then they try to sell it subscription-wise to the public. So with that we can build. The bank says, why not 1 million? 1 million robots. So we have to live with the robots. Other than in Korea especially, the birth rate is the lowest. So the 2,300. There will be 62,000 Koreans left in the world. So we have to have companions or children, robots, and my child or my children, mine both are the ones that we are scheming at. Thank you.
I was thinking about the problem of inclusive access or universal access to technology. And I actually think the real problem is inclusive access to the know-how and the rights to monetize or contribute in the upside of that economic transition. Because the problem is when there's a lot of private capital in the system and it accumulates over time. Those who are early in the game, they build up a lot of accumulated wealth. So those who are kind of not yet participating in that are kind of falling behind and not catching up on that gap. So instead of just talking about who should be a consumer or a recipient of technology in that global race for economic adoption, I think a fundamental question we as society have to solve is, how do we make sure that those who want and willing to contribute, obviously, can have a fair access to that pie that is growing? And a fair access meaning that the gap doesn't reduce because they joined late or because they did not have access to the returns that the technology is generating today. There's so many different layers you could think about, but I think in general, we have not yet had these profound discussions about economic models and the dividend, maybe a shared dividend on technology. And that links back to rights, basic human rights, rights to access technology and benefit from it. I have not seen any of this coming up in the UN discussions, for example.
So, just to clarify for me, so you're talking about digital rights to digital access.
Not only right to digital access, I think that is kind of a no-brainer. It's really about the right to monetize my data. Like, how do I access all the information that I feed into any kind of system that then goes and generates, rents in the private markets? How do we make flexible systems on a globalized scale? I think Web3 has started to build some first models, and they are being tested everywhere in smaller ecosystems. SNet is one of these ecosystems. When you think one level deeper, what was the benefit of Web 1? Maybe that was that information became zero marginal costs. And then we had Web 2, where mobile phones and WhatsApp and whatsoever communication became zero marginal cost. I think the benefit of Web 3 is that economic exchange or participation in the economy, the cost of capitalism becomes marginal, zero marginal cost. But how do we make sure basically that these benefits are distributed equitably? I think that's the main question. And who has the know-how and the rights, and who kind of, when you talk about, this is something cool. Mohammed Yunus, who's at the moment unfortunately at the verge of being incarcerated in Bangladesh, but he was the Nobel Peace Prize laureate. 2006, he brought the concept of banking to the poor. He said, like, the banking system doesn't work because why should the poor prove that they are worth of receiving assets, loans from the banks? And he said, okay, let's invent a different kind of concept. And he's the social entrepreneur. And he actually says, whenever you have a problem to solve, just build a new venture and fix that problem, like a new business venture, and solve that micro problem, and all together we'll build a network of ventures that keep capitalism fluid. And I think this is something Web3 is enabling, that everyone can basically create a venture and participate in the globalized economy. And it drives down the cost of transaction to the point that it is becoming really an opportunity. A person, I think, who has access to internet in Africa, in Vietnam, in wherever on the world, could actually enter a decentralized finance system and get the same terms and conditions as a Wall Street banker. This is already possible, but the knowledge about it, how to access these technologies, and how to use them, and actually how to build them in a way that you own the technology, you own the returns that come from it, this is not widespread yet, and this might be a big catalyst to equitability in the world.
Thank you very much. What you've said ties into a lot of the things that we've been talking about education, as we've been talking about access and so on. And it also ties into all of the conversations that we've been having about decentralized AI governance, about giving people the space and the agency to feed in not just the development of AI systems, but also into what is produced, how it is governed. I just invite you all to make a final comment if you would like to before we wrap up on that topic or any other topic that you would like to. And then
I would like to announce that our mind bots can replace, teachers. I'm sorry, teachers or professors. I'm professor at the moment, but we're going to develop a lot of software programs to teach children, 24 hours because they can teach you languages. I had the Grace robot which spoke 20 different languages, and you can, study languages at 3 in the morning or whatever, so no problem. That can be also decentralized teaching and everything else along with it. And the Grace robots are very, very expensive, as you know, but this smaller robot that we are producing in South Korea will be about, 10K, 15K, something like that, very, very cheap, so that if you are interested, let me know. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you very much for joining me here. It's been a wonderful discussion. Thank you very much.
And a couple of announcements, good news, bad news.